Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get to the ladies. Welcome back to the channel today, and we're going to be doing things slightly differently. So it's a whole new editing process, whole new way of putting this video together. And we're actually finally doing the why we play Plunder video. So this is more of an opinion piece than actually focusing on Warzone content. But it's to try and get a point across as to why I, teammates, and the hundreds of people that I've played with over the course of the past 2 years enjoy this game so much. And maybe it's a bit of a message for anyone you know who says Plunder shit, solely plays Battle Royale. They can say, well, watch this video, this is why they play it so much, and this is why they enjoy it so much. So I'm going to be jumping in with a bit of Warzone history in this one, how the popularity of Warzone came about, inevitably how the popularity of Plunder and Battle Royale came about, where it kind of went wrong for them, and what keeps us here, what keeps us coming back. And hopefully I'm going to do a good enough job talking about it and keeping you lot engaged. And if you like it and enjoy it, you know, maybe leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, leave a like, get someone to subscribe if you could, that'd be great. And this is also with the channel growing the way it is. We have had a lot of new subscribers recently. Hopefully this is a way for them to see what we're like as people. Well, you've only got me in the video, but the opinions we express, and other leaderboard players, because everyone knows the names in the leaderboard, but people don't know the people behind them. So I'm not going to be giving exact names and stuff like that, but just things we know about them and the reason that they've kept playing for as long as they have. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it and see how we go. Okay, so let's lock and load with this thing. March 10th, 2020 changed the Call of Duty landscape forever with the introduction of Warzone. It put multiplayer, which had been suffering from a slight burnout over the past couple of years, on the backbench, and it suddenly became the supporting mode to this juggernaut that Call of Duty put in front of us. On March 9th, 2020, a tweet went out on the Call of Duty page which announced Warzone would be free to play from the next day. And as we can see there on the screen, this was their announcement, and it had been a lot of radio silence up until this point within the Call of Duty community. The following day, March 10th, Mali13, one of the best Scottish streamers and one of the best Call of Duty streamers for entertainment purposes, went and put the first ever Battle Royale video up and the first ever Plunder video up. And Plunder was a very, very different mode back then. So there was 150 players, and it wasn't called Plunder, it was called Payback. Team wipes worked, and when you killed 3 people, they dropped straight back in on your head. There was absolutely nothing you could do about it. It was geared towards warfare. The first $1 million won, there was no overtime, and contract multipliers existed. Now, does anyone remember what contract multipliers are? Let's take a look real quick. Ah yes, courtesy of GameRant.com, it mentions the top secret contracts that were introduced with the Call of Duty Caldera. Quickly exploited by the Battle Royale community to level up all of their guns quite quickly. I believe at the time you could do it in like 2 hours. It was incredible, I guess, in the Plunder mode, because without opening a box, without getting a kill, just by doing these contracts, scavengers, recons, supply runs, maybe bounties, you could win the game at Damascus when people were just trying to get the grips with learning box spawns from a Plunder perspective. And they were going about their day, and they were getting their weapons done. But quickly, Raven Software stepped in and they axed these contracts, and we have yet to see them return to the game mode. Anytime people manage to have fun in this game, or it's unfairly skewed, they step in and they stamp it out. Unless it's Krampus. Krampus just managed to stay in there for the longest of times. And we all still have the nightmares about Krampus. Now, Call of Duty really put a lot of effort into making sure Warzone was going to become super popular. They flew out a ton of streamers all the way over to America. They let them play the game first, and then on the day of launch let them release the content, and which was basically free advertising for them, and people instantly got hooked on the game. There was another reason for that, and we're going to jump into that real soon. But we're going to focus first again on an article from Polygon, which was Plunder is a secret star of Call of Duty Warzone, and this article went up within a day of Warzone launching, and people were in love with the mode. And yet, by May 18th, Plunder had become a mode for fun-loving losers. Where did it all go wrong? Why did it happen? Well, part of that article actually kind of explains why it all went wrong. And it was from the developers themselves, who said that out of 100% of players, probably 10, maybe 20% are super competitive and they want to go for the win. you know, you play something, you kind of want to win it, but whatever. And we want to make sure that the 80% that maybe would never win still had stuff to do, still had fun. Now, it's kind of uncertain when they say this. Do they mean the 80% that maybe would never win? Is that because they didn't want to go for the win, or didn't know how to win, or just weren't bothered to win? It's hard to know. But they were right. Even by May of 2020, they were right. 80% of people don't give a flying. The other 20% do. And I think that became evident as Verdansk progressed. At the start, especially with contract multipliers in place, and for the first couple of months, I'm thinking all the way up maybe until Christmas of 2020, the mode was incredibly competitive. You couldn't go somewhere and have a free area to loot. There was always combat-intensive moments. And Ghost was necessary, especially if you couldn't play Call of Duty, which was what a lot of players coming into Plunder and into Call of Duty were at the time. They couldn't play. They didn't know how to play. But again, we'll touch on that later on. And then toward the latter half of 2021, the map just started opening up. Combat, you had to go looking for it if you wanted it. And areas used to be super heavy, Boneyard and Superstore and Promenade, all of a sudden, and downtown were empty. And everybody was up in Storage Town. And it definitely became noticeable that there was the 80% that wanted to win, and the 20% that wanted... the 80% that wanted to fight, and the 20% that wanted to win. So they got it right. They really did get it right at the end. So, that might be where it all kind of went wrong. But let's have a look at what went wrong with Battle Royale first of all. We can't just criticize Plunder. Right. So despite being the mode to play, Battle Royale and Battle Royale players have had a ton of issues with the game. Raven Software has had a ton of issues with communication with the game. But Plunder players, for the most part, have always just gotten on with things and enjoyed the game mode for the sake of the game mode. People that don't play to win but enjoy playing the game, such as going for kills. There's a kills leaderboard available over on COD Tracker that will highlight a lot of these people, which shows that they have fun doing their own thing inside of the game mode. But we really just complain about some of the metas, the SPR, the FFARs, the DMRs, things that are basically you couldn't combat because if they seen you, you were dead. But Battle Royale over its 22-month history has been plagued with issues, and it's kind of just brushed under the carpet every now and again. And God forbid a Plunder player expresses an opinion on a social media site about Battle Royale that just instantly shut down. But take a step back for a moment and let's just look at things that have been complained about since the beginning of the game. We have an article here from May of 2021 when Raven finally nerfed stopping power rounds. Now these things were everywhere inside Plunder. If you didn't have them in your gun, you would probably lose a gunfight, especially if you were dealing with a team of 3. I enjoyed them with SMGs. I didn't enjoy them with ARs. I felt that they made the ARs too jumpy. Some people agree, some people disagree with that one. But I guess in Battle Royale, a little unfair because when you're playing at a high competitive level or you're in a high KD lobby, people don't miss their shots. It's okay if you're in a 0.6, 0.9 lobby, because people miss their shots, so they're not necessarily going to hit you with every bullet. You still got a chance to cover. But when you're in a 1.5, 2.5 KD lobbies, they will hit you and they will kill you, and your game is over, and your team have to go and buy them back. But there was a lot of complaints, but that's not the only thing they complained about. Dead silence was another thing. Now, dead silence is a bit of a touching point for me, and I get quite aggravated when I hear Battle Royale players complaining about it, particularly as I once commented on someone's post who was giving out that their entire team had been killed by one person with dead silence. Now, as I said, you have a full team of 3 pushing one guy and you all died. I was told, get good, because the one guy that had the dead silence could kill the 3 guys. I am sorry that in that moment you went deaf, but 6 eyes couldn't work out where one guy was. Nonetheless, they campaigned, they complained, dead silence got nerfed, they came in with higher layer. Ironically, with the introduction of the higher layer buff and dead silence nerf and spawn rates reduced, it was quite funny to see the specialist bonuses came into the game. I know in Plunder they were everywhere, and I know in Battle Royale they were all over the place. And it basically gave you the perks, so everybody had it dead silent, or a high alert all of a sudden. And everybody knew, so it was like, I don't know. You were supposed to make the trade-off of like Ghost to high alert, and all of a sudden they just went, here, have Ghost and high alert. Raven Software, I guess. Moving on to the next one, the Kali sticks. Bit of a touching point for me. I guess it would have been more aggravational had I kept using them. I gave up on the Kali sticks, coincidentally, when the specialist tokens were everywhere. I was like, well, we're going to be ghosted. I'm just going to run SMG and an AR. Something that's stuck with me now for borderline, what, nearly a year? At this point, and it's the best thing I ever did was just ditching Ghost and forgetting about it. But you can only kind of say that from a Plunder perspective, not from a Battle Royale perspective, because when you go into that final circle, people have UAVs waiting, people have heartbeat sensors waiting, and we'll actually touch on UAVs again in a moment. But not being ghosted is not exactly smart. Anyway, Kali sticks. Halloween event 2.0. I think most people can agree it was an absolute failure, and people just did not enjoy it. It wasn't the same, it wasn't as dark, it wasn't as scary. But the Kali sticks all of a sudden gained media attention. I'm talking mainstream media attention because of these sticks that we'd had in the game for, at this point, 15 months. And you know what? They were the meta in Plunder for 15 months. And you know what? No one cared. The devs especially didn't care. It just went... Kali sticks? What Kali sticks? They were the funny weapon that someone used in a TikTok video, or an Instagram video, or for a funny short on YouTube. And they clutched a BR win with them. They were the anti-cheat. They were Warzone's answer to anti-cheat. If a hacker was in a Plunder match especially, or in a BR match, or in a Rebirth match, you come back in with a Riot Shield, Kali stick, stuns, and thermites. Stun them twice, push them with Riot Shield, whack whack, dead. Streamers got involved with the Halloween event, and the ghosts, so to speak, everyone started running Kali sticks to kill the ghosts, but in turn began to kill players and began to kill streamers, and they got very aggravational about it, and they started roaring those sticks over and over again, and unfortunately within a month the Kali sticks went RIP. Not only the Kali sticks, but every weapon went RIP. Did they need it? Well, they couldn't shoot bullets, and if you were stupid enough to get close to someone, it's your own fault. That's the way I always looked at it. Furthermore, the lunge was a bit excessive. The lunge could be reduced, but if you were playing the next-gen console, check out These Knives Only's last Kali stick video on his YouTube channel, and you'll see just how broken they were when he switched over to PC. Your lunge would fail, it would take multiple hits to kill, multiple hits to down, and of course there's the fact that Kali sticks locked on to the down player over the player that was still up. So if you ran into a building and there was two people there, you were in major trouble. Another thing constantly complained about was the ghost loadout. When people ran in Battle Royale, of course, in Plunder 2. And apparently it wasn't fair that Ghost was in the game. I mean, what isn't complained about at this point? Ghost inevitably was nerfed, UAVs got a buff, and I'm not even going to crib about it because it was the best thing they put in the game. Okay, there was ways of combating it in Plunder, and we talked about this, but what I kind of want to bring this point up, because Plunder players were the first people to actually realise that you could call out people on Ghost, that had Ghost, outside of, I believe at the time it was 130 meters, and that when advanced UAVs are put into the game, three UAVs equaling a super UAV plus an advanced UAV activated in the area made a super UAV an advanced UAV. And we realised this, we posted about it on Twitter, and we were shut down. We had the video proof of it. Of course, the buff for UAVs, and eventually the ghosts running around on the map as dots. We knew about this for weeks, but it took a very famous YouTuber to put it out there for it actually to be listened to. So the Plunder community noticed a lot of things because we play the game so much, and we play such short games, we see a lot more than necessarily in a Battle Royale game purely focused on combat. So we do notice a lot of things. Of course, there was also the infamous stim glitch that made Battle Royale basically unplayable. I think there was a 10-minute video out there somewhere of two players just sitting in the gas, stimming, until one of them eventually got bored and died. And of course, we have the hackers, who can dictate a Battle Royale match, but not a Plunder match, because when you see them in Plunder, just leave them alone, let them have their fun and go somewhere else. Or if you want to go back and kill them, again, at the time, Cali Sticks, Riot Shield, Stones, Termites, and I have videos on the channel of that happening. And final thing to touch on that has been complained about in Battle Royale was the loadouts. When we started in Warzone back in March 2020, famous YouTubers said loadouts were going to kill Warzone. Why? Because they weren't available in Blackout. They came into Warzone and the price was quickly raised from, I think it was 6,000 to 8,500, from 8,500 to 10,000. And everybody suddenly fell in love with loadouts until they were taken out in Caldera. So they listened to the community from 2 years earlier. They said, okay, let's just take them out of the game for the start. We'll go back to kind of how Blackout was. You won't be able to build your guns, but you should have decent ground nuke guns after a week of playing. And then we'll give you a loadout. And what happens? Players are up in arms about it, and are still up in arms about it. And Raven are currently reviewing the situation. Meanwhile, Plunder players are going, la-di-da-di-da, I'm enjoying my playing, and I'm not bitching about it. So what were the benefits to Plunder? Well, you got to explore everything inside Plunder, okay? So the map was open to you at all times. We got to point out at this point, Plunder is the illegitimate child of Battle Royale, okay? It is that child that nobody wants to talk about, but has to acknowledge exists. And they have to acknowledge it exists because of the weapon testing that is done inside it. Without weapon testing and without an operational shooting range inside of Warzone, you've only got Battle Royale and Rebirth to build your gun, go in, and test it out, because guns behave so differently inside Warzone than they do inside multiplayer. So, from a content creation point of view, and for people who have built their careers now off of weapon testing, without Plunder, and I know they only look at Plunder for a weapon testing perspective, but without it, you have nothing to base it on without wasting hundreds of hours. You certainly Clash and Payload came in, but those were crazy, combat-heavy, intensive modes where you didn't get a moment to think. Plunder provides you with that opportunity, and you can go anywhere on the map and not get harassed. Well, as long as you avoid like the hot drops, obviously. But you can do what you want, kill yourself, respawn, test your nets out of guns, and you can do that 10 times. You can even go and change the guns as you're playing, and if you're in a long enough game, you got 30 minutes to test out all your loadouts and weapons. So, the mode has to be there, okay? And that is why some people play it, to weapon test, and other people again play it for kills. But, particularly for Verdansk, we had a ton of Easter eggs that we could use. We had Stadium, we had Park, we had Bunker 11, we had the subway station. And they were all interesting things to try and do. And it made for very interesting times in Plunder, because obviously the Battle Royale players came in to do it. Why? Because they couldn't do it in Battle Royale. So again, there's another reason why Plunder was needed to do the Easter eggs. And they were truly enjoyable experiences playing the game. As you can see there, we had the Warzone Stadium access code discovered. And then the Park Bunker code, which everyone knows I love the Park. But these are all things you could go and explore. But the funny thing is, even with key cards being introduced into the game, it's weird. These key cards, and even with the introduction of Foresight, Specialist Bonus, Advanced UAVs, I could not tell you how many times I'd watch a stream, they'd get a key card, and they would not use that key card. They'd run over the military base bunker and wouldn't even go in. So I feel a lot of the stuff that was added into the game just didn't benefit the BR community. Especially not the prominent BR community members. It definitely benefited Plunder. And everybody loved it. And it's one of the reasons we fell in love with the game so much. Now, I think one of the reasons the downfall of Plunder actually came right from the start. And that was because streamers would be playing Warzone. They kind of got 1 or 2 wins in Plunder, whatnot. But the longevity of streaming, it just didn't exist. It wasn't fun to open boxes, and sure as shit, by the time the end of Verdansk came around, it definitely wouldn't have been fun to stream it, unless you tried to orientate your gameplay towards getting kills while also going for the win, which is not something a lot of people want to do to begin with, but it's definitely something I try to do when I'm live streaming, to make it interesting for you guys to actually watch. Viewers often asked people to play Plunder, and they refused. It is what it is, and that dismissiveness, I think, definitely suppressed the Plunder players, who either eventually gave up with the end of COVID, and obviously everyone went back to work and stuff like that, but definitely stopped them from asking the streamers to play the game, which is a real shame, because it was a super enjoyable mode, especially at the beginning to play, because you definitely more team focused than towards the end, where you could split up from your team comfortably and display your gun skills. And that trend is continuing even now. Plunder is still being dismissed, unfortunately. But there is hope that maybe it can become more popular. You know, we do have some fantastic YouTubers out there, like DK Dynamite and Call of Duty Fanatics, who praise Plunder. And their communities don't take the piss out of it too much either, which is awesome. Because it shows that, I mean, Fanatics has over 10,000 subscribers, and I know Dynamite has a ton of them. I don't know, I'm not even going to insult by saying how many are guesstimating, but I know it's a ton of them. But they're able to put that message out there to tons of people that it's a good mode to play. Alright guys, that's all for part 1. Wasn't intended to be 2 parts, but it is what it is. I don't want to stretch this out with a 36-minute video, so I'm going to leave this one around the 21-22 minute mark, and I'll have the next part up probably tomorrow. We'll just space them out so people get to see this one and get to see the next one, and maybe just keep us interested, you know, bit of clickbait, stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.